In this lecture, we are going to delve deep into a significant issue that arose in 2025, known as CVE-2025-50165. This is categorized as a critical vulnerability affecting the graphics component of Microsoft Windows systems globally. This isn't just a minor issue. CVE-2025-50165 is a severe remote code execution vulnerability, which means it has the potential to do a lot of damage. It's one of the most critical vulnerabilities we've encountered so far in this year, and it's essential to understand it thoroughly. This vulnerability targets the very heart of Microsoft Windows systems. The graphics component. An attacker exploiting this vulnerability could execute arbitrary code remotely on the affected systems. This issue is a significant concern because it potentially leads to a complete system compromise. We'll be examining this vulnerability in detail, discussing its implications and understanding its severity. So let's dive in and explore CVE-2025-50165 together.
All right, let's delve into the threat landscape of CVE 2025-50165. This is a critical remote code execution vulnerability that was discovered in May 2025. The vulnerability specifically targets the Microsoft Windows graphics component. This flaw is particularly dangerous as it allows attackers to execute arbitrary code remotely on the affected systems. The level of access that attackers can potentially gain is complete system compromise. What's more alarming is that they don't require any privileged access or user interaction beyond opening a malicious file. This makes the vulnerability all the more threatening. If we look at the CVSS score, it stands at a high 9.8. This is a critical severity rating, and it indicates the maximum urgency for remediation. The vulnerability can be exploited remotely without requiring any physical access. All it takes is successful attack execution, and the system is compromised. The user interaction required for this exploit is minimal. Simply opening a malicious file triggers the exploit. This means that the user doesn't have to perform any complex actions for the attack to be successful. So in summary, CVE 2025-50165 is a critical security flaw that allows attackers to remotely execute code on affected systems, potentially achieving full system compromise without the need for privileged access or more than minimal user interaction. The CVSS score indicates in this part of the course, we're diving into the technical architecture and exploitation chain of CVE 2025-50165. A critical remote code execution vulnerability discovered in the Microsoft Windows graphics component. At the heart of the vulnerability is windowscodecs.dll, where the flaw resides. Specifically, the JPEG image processing routines are compromised, and a malformed JPEG can trigger an untrusted pointer dereference during decompression. This process creates the pathway for exploitation. Let's look at the exploitation techniques used by attackers. First, we have heap spraying. This technique involves attackers filling memory with controlled data, which then allows them to manipulate the behavior of the program. Next, we have pointer hijacking. This untrusted pointer dereference redirects the execution flow, giving the attackers an unfair advantage. We also witness the use of ROP chains or return-oriented programming. This technique bypasses several security mechanisms like data execution prevention, making it a powerful tool in the hands of the attacker. Lastly, we have shellcode injection, where the final payload executes the attacker's commands with system privileges. This action effectively gives the attacker control of the system. The understanding of this technical architecture and exploitation chain is critical in building robust countermeasures. As we move forward, we'll delve into the impact assessment and understand who's at risk and why.
On this slide, we delve into the impact assessment of the discussed vulnerability and try to understand who might be at risk. The systems that are affected by this vulnerability include all supported versions of Windows 11 24 and Windows Server 2025. The risk arises from the use of the vulnerable Windows codecs.dll library in these systems. Broadly speaking, the attack surface for this vulnerability is quite large. It includes Microsoft Office, web browsers, email clients, and basically any application that processes images through Windows graphics component. Given the global exposure of the Windows operating system, organizations and users worldwide who are running affected Windows versions face an immediate risk from malicious JPEG files. This broad attack surface means that any user opening email attachments, Office documents, or browsing websites with embedded images could trigger the exploitation. This vulnerability is particularly dangerous for enterprise environments where a large number of users are processing multiple files simultaneously. It's crucial to understand the gravity of this situation as it could lead to the execution of unauthorized commands with system privileges, putting sensitive data and system integrity at risk.
On this slide, we'll focus on the defense strategy and immediate actions we can take to counter the threats discussed in the previous slide. First and foremost, it's vital we apply the Microsoft Security Patch. Released on August 12, 2025, this critical security update should be installed immediately across all affected systems. The second point to note is the implementation of access controls. By restricting file handling capabilities and enforcing the principles of least privilege for applications processing untrusted content, we can significantly enhance our security posture. Thirdly, we should consider deploying network segmentation. This means isolating critical assets from systems that handle external files and implementing robust monitoring solutions. Our fourth action point revolves around continuous monitoring. This includes enabling logging for graphics component crashes and suspicious file processing activities. For this, we can utilize endpoint detection and response (EDR) tools. Lastly, a critical reminder for everyone: CVE 2025-50165 demands immediate attention. By combining timely patching with defense-in-depth strategies, we can protect our organization from this severe remote code execution threat. The steps outlined on this slide provide a robust defense strategy to counteract the risks associated with the vulnerabilities discussed earlier. By implementing these actions